Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, it's the Netflix series Jupiter's Legacy. Welcome, everybody. Let me take care of some business first, and we'll get down to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. Basically, YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching, tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up there just for you. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below. Also, if you want to know when I'm be on live again next, you hit the bell down below over here. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. I put the schedule up there every week. I just changed it out today. Also, I have all the links to my social media. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. No tier 7 on the Patreon. I'm still working on it. Yes, I know. Been a lot of stuff going on. So also I have the links to this YouTube channel, my Facebook page, and a Facebook group page where you guys can post stuff and chat amongst yourselves. All right. So let's get into it, shall we? Non-spoiler version. What is this thing about? In a non-spoilery version, it's basically a group of 6 superheroes who have been fighting crime for the last 90 years. And basically, they are looking at handing this stuff off to their children who have powers as well. And it's more of a question of morality and power, if how you use that power, if you have it, that kind of thing. That's pretty much what this series kind of boils down to. Now, that said, it also does some flashbacks to the origin back in the 1920s, 1930s, and of the original 6 heroes as well, but not the villains, which is kind of weird. But hey, there you go. I wanted to like this. It's Mark Millar and Frank Quietly. There we go. Who did this book, and Stephen DeKnight is actually the showrunner of this. So he did the first season of Daredevil on Netflix, which was an awesome season of Daredevil. And he's done other stuff too. Stephen DeKnight, he did Spartacus. He's done lots and lots of stuff. So I was looking forward to this series, right? I can't really recommend it. I wanted to like it, but it just doesn't seem polished or finished, especially with all these people that are involved. I was expecting more from it, and I wasn't really getting what I wanted out of this. The first episode, honestly, is pretty bad, honestly, the first episode. And it gets better after the first episode, but still, it's 8 episodes, and just the way things are told in flashback style, for especially the origin story, it didn't work for me. It really didn't work for me. And it was dark, honestly. I know Mark Millar's writing is usually dark anyway, so I had that in mind already. And he does use a lot of DC Justice League characters that he kind of bases his characters off of. He does also Marvel stuff too. He did that for Wanted for some of his stuff, but he mainly cribs from DC is what he does. So even Jupiter's Legacy, if you bring it down, it's JL, Justice League. And that's pretty much what this is. It's Justice League characters. I mean, the Utopian is definitely Superman. Lady Liberty is definitely, Wonder Woman. Yeah, so on and so forth. So, yeah, you have 90 years of these heroes supposedly fighting crime, and yet it's the same world that we're living in right now. So they essentially did nothing in society, if you will, to change society for the better. Whereas in the DC universe, you actually see a positive change for these heroes being there. And this is mainly because of, and this isn't giving anything away, the main character having something called the code that everyone's supposed to live by or and do their work by and whatnot. And yeah, I think that's honestly not enough thought was put into that portion of it, of dealing with that. There was too many things that were going on that needed a much bigger story to it, and they didn't know what to focus on. That's what it comes down to. And like I said, we the times that we're living in right now, this a little bit too dark. And I know we have the boys out there, but the boys actually injects a shit ton of humor into it. It's dark humor, but it's actually humor that they inject into it, and that's why it's better. Same thing with Invincible. Invincible uses bright colors to pop. It seems lighter. It's got a heavy story to it, but it also has a lot of humor in it as well. And it's so much more put together, so well put together and Invincible, that story just flies along, even though it's got multiple tons of storylines. But Applecrow says, how does it compare to Hyperion story tone wise? It's a different story. Applecrow. Hyperion is Marvel, so it's this is more DC is where you're going with that. So yeah, that's my non-spoiler version of that. So yeah, I can't recommend this. I'd say it's not worth your time unless you really want to watch it. I mean, and also I'm going to say this: Josh Jamal is not a leading man. I know they've been pushing for him to be a leading man and stuff like that. He still just doesn't have it. He really doesn't. The guy who plays Sky Fox, who is actually a voice actor as well. So Matt Lanter, there we go. Yes, so he is, of course, Anakin Skywalker in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. That's who he voiced. But he's actually a really good actor, and quite honestly, I think he took more away from Josh Jamal than yeah, Josh Jamal with the beard and the wig, it just looked ridiculous. Yeah. I wasn't surprised by how old he looked, Penn. And honestly, I was kind of surprised by when they do the flashback and they make him look younger. I'm like, oh, he's still like maybe he got some Botox there because I remember him having more wrinkles. So he'll always be a soap actor to me, is what Penn says. Uh, yeah, wasn't he in like GI Joe or something like that? I know he was in like no Transformers. That's what it was. It was Transformers that he was in, and that's what I always equate him with is just this kind of two-dimensional acting. I know he's been on TV and stuff too. I can't remember what show he was on that I watched him in. Well, I got IMDb up. I can actually look. I think I actually used to watch the show that he was in, that he was well known for, and I'm looking right now. So let me see. It was way back when. No. Oh my God. Not even All My Children. Las Vegas. That's what it was. It was Las Vegas. And so that's going back to like 2003, 2008. And I remember watching that show and he was in it. And I was like, okay. It was a very pedestrian show. I mean, it really was like a bare bones show. And that was okay. It was something I could put on and not think about. So yeah. Applecrow says, so DC doubling down on the bad parts of DC. Not so much. It just okay. So let me get into the spoiler version of it. So spoiler alert, I am going to spoil this. If you haven't seen it, go and watch it or don't. It's up to you. But I'm spoiling it from here on out. So, all right. We're there. Okay. So what the order of this should have been was they should have done the origin story first, then gotten into the whole thing about the kids. So what's going on is that the villains are now somebody is actually plotting in order to make things much more violent for the heroes that are up and coming. so that the heroes that are up and coming actually need to start using violence back, force back, and kill villains. And actually, the son of the Utopian, the Paragon is his name, actually kills this villain, this main villain. Black Star is what his name is. And of course, Black Star is played by Tyler Mane, who, if you remember from the first X-Men movie, that was, you know, oh God, he played a really horrible version of, God, now I can't remember Wolverine's. Uh, oh my God, why am I blanking on it now? Sabretooth. There we go. Jesus Christ, my brain just was all of a sudden farting. Yeah, he played Sabretooth in the first X-Men movie. You know, I want to hear you scream. That really stupid. Yeah. So he's better in this actually as Black Star. And his clone ends up getting killed by Paragon. Paragon punches him through the head, and the public is in support of heroes actually using deadly force in order to take down supervillains because they're tired of supervillains fucking up everything, killing people. I mean, literally killing people. You see it happen in the beginning, the opening episode. And they want the heroes to fight back. They're tired of the code that, the Utopian put in place. And the heroes, the young heroes, are starting getting tired of it as well. And if they had spent a little bit more time in that of, I don't know, just having maybe a one episode at most discussion as to why these people are against using why they want to change the code at this point. Instead, they make it as a plot point to the overall story. This is what Skyfox is trying to do. The mwahaha of he's become a villain now at this point. He's basically mustache twirling that he's trying to show the Utopian up and show him that his code is not all it's cracked up to be by subverting the young people into going against the code and also turning the public against the code. That's what the whole thing is supposed to be about. And honestly, it's boring. It's been done before. It's been done in DC. It's been done in Marvel Comics. And maybe it's just because I've read so many comics in my time. That's why I find it boring. And also, it just wasn't, like I said, it wasn't handled properly. It wasn't presented properly, I should say, and came out more ham-fisted than it should have been. So yeah, it really needs to, I don't know, something needed to be done where it was cleaned up in the production and flowed better, because it doesn't flow right. It really doesn't. And I found myself a lot of the times kind of pausing to see how much more time I had in an episode, because it was just taking too long to get there. And there was a lot of navel gazing by the fucking Utopian, man. I swear to God, he kept going back to, one of his villains who's in a cell, who's super smart, and using him as a therapist. And I'm like, yeah, that's not going to come and bite you back in the ass at some point in time, which, it's going to happen in season 2. But if not, Skyfox is going to use him and mine him for something. It's some tired tropes. It really is. But this is the reason why I can't recommend it. It's just got too many things that have been done before, and then also it's just dark. It's something that it has no humor to it. It literally zero humor to it, which I think would have helped as well, as having a little bit of humor to it. It takes itself way too seriously, and you get to the point where you're just kind of looking at it going, yeah, that's great. I really don't need this. So considering that there's so many other heroes, things that are out there at this point. So, and with that said, what else do I have going on this week? Well, tomorrow and Thursday I'm off. Friday is another episode of Star Wars: The Bad Batch. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off, where take the genre news of the weekend, any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about when we talk about it. Sunday is the season finale of The Nevers. The Nevers, that's right. Monday I'm going to be off, and then Tuesday wraps back around again to another episode of Is It Worth My Time? And I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between the Mitchells versus the Machines, which is on Netflix, and there's some other stuff that's going to be coming out. If you go and take a look at the schedule, I put a whole bunch of stuff that's coming out. Love, Death, and Robots, I believe, comes out on Friday as well. So yeah, there's all kind. Season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. So we'll see. I'll figure something out by the weekend as to what I'm doing. And also taxes, because I got to do taxes too. I keep forgetting to do them. That's what happens, especially when you're busy and have a lot of work to do. Yeah. All right. So, Applecrow says I picked a bad time to start rewatching Babylon 5, but man, yeah, Babylon 5 is good. I mean, it's dated. The special effects are dated and all that stuff. But yeah, it's actually really good. The story holds up. The story really does hold up. And but the special effects, like if anything's ripe for a reboot, I guess you could say, that would be the one. I would like to see Babylon 5 get rebooted. It was a good show. And the science in it was actually pretty legit too. There was some good stuff in it. I mean, come on, if the Technobabble Star Trek, Next Generation can get 16 different series on whatever it's being called network this week, you'd think that WB would actually reignite and do Babylon 5 at least. What else they got going on? I mean, it's not like they're going to do the Snyderverse anymore. Yeah, you can tell Penn that she's not biased at all on that, especially looking at her logo that she's got, her little avatar. All right. So like I said, I can't recommend this. It's not worth your time unless you really want to watch another superhero story, but it doesn't have any humor in it. I mean, it really doesn't. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks everybody who joined me tonight in the chat, and thank you if you made it this far in the video. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here, and if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down below there. It's someplace down there. Also, if you can, hit that like button and the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'll be on live again next, you hit the bell down below. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I put up there. Also, all the links to my social media are there, and all the links to my pages are there as well. So everything's there. And I do change it out every week. I go and look at it and change it and all that kind of good stuff. And I might even start posting a little bit more in the community section here on YouTube too. So depending if I find magical time that I can pull out of my ass, to do more stuff. All right, everybody. I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you, everyone. I will see you again on Friday. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may be told that you need to go on a voyage to find a place that some dude had dreamt about, saw in some visions, and that you are the person that needs to go along with them because he saw you in the vision and it doesn't work unless you go along. Yeah, it's very convoluted. Anyway, thanks, everybody. I will see you again on Friday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care, wear those masks, get those vaccine shots, and I will see you on Friday with Star Wars The Bad Batch. Have a good rest of the week and have a good night. Thanks, everyone.